Hi, it's Danielle Greason from VA Lifestyle Design. What I wanted to talk with you about today is one of the most important things you can do when you're a new freelancer working online supporting business owners and you're looking to secure those first few clients. And what that important thing is having confidence in yourself, really just, backing yourself and starting to develop that attitude of, why wouldn't they hire me? Why wouldn't they pick me out of this selection of candidates? Or, why wouldn't they reply to my email? And developing that confidence, yes, it's in part related to the skills that you're learning. So whatever is that selection of skills that you've decided to master to provide services online, whether that be online marketing skills or writing or design skills or coding, other technical things, whatever is that skill set you've chosen to provide a service in, yes, you do need to learn what you're doing. But the thing is, to have confidence, you don't actually need to know all the answers. In fact, I dare say it's near next to impossible to know all the answers because of, the array of different things you can learn online, the different services you can provide. No freelancer knows everything. No business owner knows everything. So how do you have that confidence then? The confidence really comes from just knowing that you're there, committed to following through, committed to caring and helping that business owner achieve their goals. And that is how you can secure those first few clients without having all the answers. And I had a few experiences actually just in the past week where myself or other people that I'm collaborating with didn't know all the answers, and it wasn't a problem at all. So I wanted to kind of share those specific examples with you here. So the first thing that happened is I had a potential client contact me through my website, and they had a list of all the things that they needed support with in their business. And they had this bulleted list, and I went down the list and I thought, yep, I can help with that, I can help with that, that sounds good, excellent. And then there was one thing that I thought, oh, I haven't done that before. And so because this potential client had gone to all the effort of actually putting those requirements down before we got to the stage of getting together on a phone call, I replied in detail to say, I said, thanks for getting in touch. And then part of what I shared was, I said, look, I've got each of those bases covered with the exception of this particular thing that you've mentioned here. So what that thing was is, it was implementing upsells, product upsells in Infusionsoft. So an e-commerce feature of a particular, of Infusionsoft, an email marketing software, if you haven't heard about it as yet. So I said, look, I'm familiar with that. I have heard about it, but it's not something that I've actually had occasion to implement for a client just yet. And here's the important part. I said, I'd be happy to master that one on my own time. Okay, so you can have confidence by just saying, look, I'm not sure about that. I haven't done it before, but yeah, I'm happy to learn that on my own time. Or yes, I can help you with this, 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 and this. But I don't usually support people with that. Whatever it is, whether you want to say you're going to learn it or you want to decline it, you can still have confidence without knowing all the answers. And that's a whole lot better than just saying, oh, I'm not sure, I don't know about that, all that kind of thing. So that was an example that I had personally. And the next example was where I had been asked to provide a reference for a fellow freelancer. She was actually going about applying for a gig as an online business manager. So a very, a full-time commitment on a set high monthly retainer for a client, for a business owner that had a really well-established business. And this business owner got in contact with me and they said, look, this person's put you down as a reference. Do you mind if we hop on a quick Skype call? And I said, sure. So we hopped on the call and the business owner started asking questions about this particular person that I've worked with before. And, they were asking about all the skills and what they're good at and what their strengths are. And then the next thing they asked me was, they said, is there something that you could share with me that this person potentially isn't their strong point? Potentially they might need more training or resources or support from me in. Is there anything there that you could point me to? And of course I want this person to get the job. They're a friend of mine. I've worked with them in the past. But also I knew that, it was relevant to be honest there, and that would more likely help. So what I basically said was, I said, you've mentioned this system and you use it in your business in this way. As far as I'm aware, I'm not sure if this person that you're looking to hire has actually worked in that system before. I haven't worked with them on it. But in saying that, I haven't, spoke with them directly about that in the last 6 months, so they may have skills there. Please check in with them. And here's the important part. The way that that business owner, that potential client reacted, in no way did that discourage them for considering this person as a highly probable candidate for a high-level online business manager role. Because people, business owners, people that are paying for services online, they just want to know, you know, where am I coming into this at? What can you help with? What can't you help with? If you can't, do you want to, and can I get the resources for that? Or do you want to, and will you get the resources for that? They just want to know where they stand so that they can manage their business accordingly. And actually that person was offered the job, but they declined it. They actually they were applying for something else at the same time and received that one too, so they went with that one instead. That's just to give you an example there that, you know, it just doesn't, you don't need to say yes, yes, yes. And we're often trained into that through, you know, the corporate world, interviews we go where we're sitting in an interview going, yes, I've done that before. Yes, I can help you with that. Oh, this is an example, I've done that before. It's a totally different ballgame when you're talking about freelancers and entrepreneurs interacting and collaborating online. So the third example I'll quickly share with you, where, you know, all the answers weren't there but it wasn't a problem, is actually one of my team members who's supporting me at Greason Media. And we are actually still in the process of putting together a book for an author that's one of our clients, and that book is going to be published across a range of different platforms, so on Amazon Create Space and Kindle and iBooks and different platforms. And I was speaking with the designer that works with me, my team member, and saying, you know, looking at these different formatting requirements to make sure we have the file, the end book file, exactly how we need it, in the timeline we need it to meet all the requirements of those separate platforms. And I had some specific questions about that, and my team member didn't know the answer. And, she knew parts of the answer, and then what she said to me was, she goes, I believe this, this, and this, but I'm not sure about that. And then here's the really important part, okay? So what she said to me was, would it be okay with you if I did a little research on that tomorrow and then got back to you with my findings? Now, I mean, how immaculate is that? If you think about it, she's saying, okay, I know some of the answers, I'm not sure about this, this, and this, but I'm going to help you find it out. And I'm also going to do it tomorrow, so I'm not just saying, you know, oh, I'll find out one day, you know, because that happens way more than you probably realize. Like, just people say, oh, yeah, I'll get back to you 2 weeks later. You know, she said, okay, can I do some research tomorrow and get back to you with my findings? And in that particular scenario, what she's actually saying is, would it be okay with you? In other words, are you happy to, you know, pay this as a billable task? You know, can I do the research on your behalf and you're paying me for that? And that's, you know, that is something that I do all the time personally with clients. I'm very grateful when people do it to me, when I'm the client. And it's coming at it from that angle of like, oh, I think this, but I'm not sure. Can I research it? Sometimes if it's something that, you know, maybe you're expected to know, you can say, I'll learn that on my own time. Sometimes you're not expected to know it, in which case you just offer to research it. And so those 3 examples happened this week, myself, other people, and not knowing the answers in no way negatively impacted the client service provider relationship. In fact, it probably positively impacted it in each case. So how do you get that confidence then? If you don't know all the answers, but you don't yet have experience, how do you get that? How do you approach, whether it be pitching a job or getting on a Skype call or initial email correspondence back and forth? How do you have that confidence? And I've got 2 really big tips for you. So the number one way, the most powerful way that I've found personally to switch into a mindset of confidence before you send an email, before you talk to someone, is this. It's just putting in your mind, how can I help this person? Okay, so we're so used to being in that mindset of what's the right thing to say? How can I impress this person? How can I please this person and tell them what they want to hear? Or even like, you know, how can I sell myself on this person? Forget all of that, because that just makes you feel intimidated, and that makes you feel like you're going to, you know, make a wrong move or say the wrong thing or take a wrong step, and it makes your confidence take a nosedive. So the way to get confidence is just before any action you take, before you write an email, is just go, how can I help? If this was my business, what would I do here? And that you can use before you have experience, when you've just learnt the skills, you've got the theory there happening, and you can use that to secure those first clients and get your runs on the board so your confidence just builds and builds. And the second thing that you can do to really be able to back yourself when you're out there pitching for these first few jobs or these first few clients is to know where your resources are at. So to be comfortable that, okay, I know all of these skills that I've learned, but if something comes up or I make a mistake and I need to recover it, what resources can I call on? So know where your tutorial videos are. Know where experts are that you have a acquaintance type online relationship with, that you could contact and say, oh hey, I made this change to the website theme, but now this has happened. Can you hop in and help? If you've got a web developer that you've either found online or you've got a relationship with, and also knowing where training is. So knowing where you can dive into a tutorial video that's on that one specific thing that you didn't know. So asking how can I help puts you in a state of confidence. Getting familiar, becoming familiar with where your resources are gives you confidence, and therefore you're going to be able to really back yourself and secure those clients. So that's what I wanted to share. Those examples reminded me that how powerful that is, of just knowing that you don't need all the answers. And now I really want to hear from you if you've had any situation, whether it's now as a freelancer or a virtual assistant, or in your previous work life, working in an on-the-ground job. Have you ever had that experience where you haven't known all the answers, but you've acted and been confident anyway? And tell me about it in the comments below this video. I'd love to hear how that panned out, because we really need to share these experiences. So when did you not have all the answers, but you acted confident anyway? Tell me in the comments below. Thanks so much, guys. Talk to you again soon.